Hey, here are 5 stupid things I've noticed since last time. Saudi historian defends ban on women drivers as rape prevention. Salah al-Sadoun appeared on Saudi TV to defend that nation's ban on women drivers by saying that it protects women from being raped when their cars break down. Most of the reaction to those remarks is focused on al-Sadoun's seeming implication that women in other countries don't care if they get raped, but I think we're burying the lead. Is al-Sadoun saying that it's a foregone conclusion that stranded Saudi women will be sexually assaulted? If that's true, and I'm not saying it is, the host and other guests on that TV show seemed to regard al-Sadoun as a kook, but if that's true, then Saudi Arabia would seem to have far more serious problems than what could be addressed by the driving laws. Pope Francis says it's selfish to not have children. For the second time in his pontificate, Pope Francis has criticized those who choose not to have children for being selfish. Children, he said, enrich not only the lives of their parents, but society as a whole. Nicely said, Frank. So why don't you have some of your own? In fact, since I know you probably want to preserve your virginity, why not adopt a few? Because unlike many of your fellow Catholics who, thanks to your church's insane and irresponsible opposition to birth control, find themselves struggling to support their children, I'm pretty sure you could afford it. State lawmakers vote against AP U.S. history courses. The Oklahoma House Education Committee voted 11-4 in favor of a bill that would prohibit funding for advanced placement U.S. history courses. Why? Well, because those courses failed to teach American exceptionalism, among other reasons. I would ask what the fuck is wrong with Oklahoma, but this is merely the latest in a series of attempts by conservative politicians from across the country to impose a dogmatically positive view of American history on students. And that makes sense. After all, remember the old adage, those who fail to learn from the past are doomed to repeat it, but those who never learn about the past in the first place are off the hook. Or something. USA! 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 Home-birthed, homeschooled woman lacks formal documentation of citizenship existence. Alicia Pennington is 19 years old, and legally speaking, she doesn't exist. She was born at home, homeschooled, and her parents never bothered to file for a birth certificate or a social security number or to take her to a proper doctor. Now she's an adult, and she has decided she wants more than the off-the-grid existence offered her by her fundamentalist parents, and with the reluctant and belated help of her father and the assistance of a Texas state representative, she is finally on her way to obtaining the basic documentation necessary to do all sorts of stuff that most of us take for granted because our parents weren't selfish, ignorant religious fanatics. Please, those of you who decide to take the Pope's advice and procreate, remember, it's your job to teach your children to walk, not to cripple them. Muslim lives matter, just not as much. Many complained of hypocritical media coverage in the wake of the fatal shootings of 3 Muslim students by a white atheist in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And you know what? I agree with them. When a Muslim commits an act of violence, we reflexively start throwing around words like terrorism before we know if they're warranted or not. But a white guy murders 3 Muslims? Isolated incident. Probably not a hate crime, certainly not an act of terrorism. By the way, all 3 of those things at the moment appear to be true about the Chapel Hill shootings. That's not the point. The point is, if the actions of a scumbag like Craig Hicks don't cause us to regard white atheists as a threat, and they shouldn't, then neither should the actions of violent extremists cause us to view all Muslims as a threat. We should be better than that. We're not. But I must be either optimistic or naive as fuck, because I keep hoping that someday we will be. The hardest part is only picking 5. Catch you next time.